Oh, guys, good, you hear? I am so excited. Guess what? I hope this isn't about your podcast again. Why, did you finally listen to it?
Da-da-da-da, 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 the Groomer Next Door production. You're listening to BYOTP Radio. Coming up next, the Groomer Next Door. The Groomer Next Door Podcast.
Dun, 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 dun. Hi, nice to meet you. I'm everybody's friend.
Hello, Pups and Kittens, and welcome to another fun-filled and informative episode of The Groomer Next Door. I'm your host, Chris Green, and joining us this week is Bobbie. She has a great publication called Cold Noses News. A lot of fun to read, and she is an absolute blast to talk to. We've actually had multiple conversations, not on the podcast, just private messages, and we just tend to go on and on and on, and every time we've done it, we've said, why aren't we not recording? So I'm so glad to be able to sit down and have her on the podcast, and again, would love to have her on again because she is so much fun. Let's get into the fact of the week. The dog name Fido is from Latin and means fidelity. Boy, I'm doing great. Fidelity. I didn't know that. I hope you guys, learned something, even though I blundered the whole thing. Well, by that sound, Bobbie is about to enter the podcast studio. So, with that said, welcome Bobbie to the podcast.
Oh, hello. Hold on a sec. Dad, we have a guest on the podcast.
Oh boy, this week we are going to have so much fun. Bobbie with Cold Noses News is joining us, and I just cannot stop laughing and enjoying my conversations with her, so thank you for being on, and we finally hit the record button, or we probably wouldn't even have this.
Hey Chris, how are you?
Oh man, it's so much fun. I don't normally always go down the behind the scenes, but it is funny. We got together and started talking last week, and we were supposed to talk for 5 minutes. 5 minutes turned into 2 or 2.5 hours. Don't even know. But it was just so funny, and it went by so fast. And what was the thing you said at the end? Should have hit record.
Right? You would have had this already.
we would have just been talking about whatever. So yes, we're going to try to recapture some of it and just dive into it from here. And let's go into your origin story, which I find to be absolutely amazing.
Okay, about the service or about me?
About you, how you got here, how you started everything, your origin story. You have you can start anywhere you want. It's your story.
Well, there's so many places to start because I have jumped around a whole lot of places in my life. But the reason I'm where I'm at now with this content service business is that I have two passions in life. One is dogs, and the other one is writing. And I think that good writing is almost a lost art these days. Mm-hmm. So I try to offer dog businesses and dog professionals, high-level, informative, engaging content so that they can share that with their clients and build that client relationship and really help their clients do the right thing for their dogs. And that all came out of my first by myself, solopreneur business with a mobile doggie daycare. I quit the corporate world. I walked away from my 13-year career in the cubes and set out on my own to do something I loved. And one of the things, and this is what we had talked about, is that I was shocked at how little some people knew about their dogs. Mm-hmm. And I actually spent more time educating people than walking their dog. Because once they figured out I knew something about it, it's like all these questions started coming up, and it was just amazing to me. So fast forward to 3 years ago, I decided to reinvent myself and go down this path. So here we are today, trying to help dog owners, sift through all the information out there. Information's not a problem, but knowing the good information from the bad information and who to follow and who to listen to when it comes to your dog. That can be a little trickier. So we try to help that whole process.
It is a real challenge, and like you said, once somebody finds out you actually know what the tail is of a dog and what the head is, they're really shocked. They're just like, oh my gosh, that's the head? I've been petting the tail the whole time. Yeah.
And all these questions about, well, why does my dog do that? And they think it's a great mystery. And it's really not, but they seriously don't have, it's someone who's gone to a pet store or has gone to a breeder and just got carried away with those puppy eyes. And I personally don't do that because I know I will cave in every time, but these people just didn't have the background and nobody taught them. So they were shocked. I would take groups, when I had the mobile doggy daycare, what it was is I'd go to people's houses, I'd grab their dogs, I have a big SUV, I'd put all the seats down and they'd jump in the back and they'd start playing the second they hit the floor in the car. And we'd do that all the way to an off-leash park. We'd be out there for 4 hours, and I'd take them all back home and drop them off, and they were happy, and the owners were really happy. But people thought like I had magic powers. They're like, how do you not lose dogs? How does that? And I was like, I don't know, because to me it's like my normal life. It's nothing magical about it. I understand dogs.
Yeah. So
that was a huge aha moment for me. And then 3 years ago, so I started this business. And I have a lot of people approach me just off the internet, actually, off my Facebook pages or whatever, for information. Well, what do I do about this? Or what do I do about that? Because, again, there's so many experts out there. People just don't know who should I listen to because they all contradict each other. So that makes it tough.
Very true. It's very true. There's just, everybody has an opinion. There's no always fact behind it. It can be as simple as dry kibble is the way to go, or vaccinate. It's the only way to go. These are opinions, but look at the data. It doesn't support it, but people are still using it. You can go and you can Google vaccination, and you're going to see a bunch of things that will say, yes, you should go out every year, make sure your dog is vaccinated. That's not exactly the truth. But when you think about it, you have big prescription companies that are making a lot of money by selling this. And, of course, the veterinarians are getting office visits out of it. The ones who don't care. Because there's a lot of vets that are like, no, I'm going to, restrict that. I'm going to say, hey, look, let's do a titer. Let's make sure your dog needs it. And then if that's the case. But the other ones are out there. They're like, hey, you know what, an office visit, I'll be able to push some meds. Good for me. I'll be able to have what I'm supposed to have. Same thing with dry kibble. They're paying, these people behind the scenes are paying a lot of money to have their stuff right there as a first click on Google. So bad information, but it's out there. So we need somebody to guide us at times, especially the new pet parents. That's when it gets to be a challenge. So what is something that you tend to hear a lot of questions of? I have a question about XYZ. What is that typical question?
It's usually behavior. People just don't understand why their dog doesn't understand them and just do what they're supposed to. Well, I asked him really nicely, and he didn't. And it's usually that, because they've never had anyone sit them down and say, now you can communicate with your dog, but there's a way to it, right? And you have to build respect, and you have to build trust and consistency. That's what I felt with most of my clients. It's like, well, we don't understand why our dog is eating our house. We let him out in the backyard to pee. He can go out there 10 times a day, and I'm like, well, that's not really enough. That's almost like a teaser. Here you go, but you can't have it. And actually, one of my clients with the mobile doggy daycare, the people that actually called me, they got my card in the park, and they called me to take their puppy. And it's like, oh, sure, I'll take him in my groups. And they're like, no, like forever. I'm like, what? So I always did an interview with people. So I said, well, let me come over and talk to you and meet your dog and everything. And I got there, and they had purchased went to a breeder and paid top dollar for a beautiful Vizsla. What they didn't know was that this is a highly motivated hunting dog. This dog is bred to go forever. Mm-hmm. I mean, a normal dog will eventually stop. A hunting dog won't. They just like it's just candy to them. So, but I was amazed they didn't understand that just letting him out to pee for 5 minutes wasn't enough exercise. Mm-hmm. And so I started taking him in my groups, and I continued to teach them, and pretty soon all the chewing stopped, their house was restored, and they were just happy little campers. So it's just this misinformation that people get, and they just don't. Why can't I just talk to him and he gets it? Why can't I rub his nose in it and he gets it? Yeah, it's not quite that easy.
It's not. It's not. That's one thing that we try to stress to new pet parents is research what kind of dog you're going to get. You can get a working dog, and yet you're always at work yourself. That dog is going to need something to do. It's going to get bored, and that boredom is going to cause stress. That stress is going to cause terror, and they're going to tear up everything. When I say terror, I mean they're going to tear up everything.
And yeah, for sure. They will create something.
Yeah.
The dog has to have something to do. They have to have an outlet for that. And so at least you have to be prepared. Okay, well, I really want this breed because, I'm the weekend warrior out hunting. It's like, well, that's great, but you're going to need to bring a dog walker in during the week.
Yeah.
Because your dog can't wait for once a week, Mm-hmm. And that's what amazed me. It was really simple things, but people just didn't understand. And so we created this business to we work with other businesses, with other dog businesses, because when you're running a business, you're just up to your eyeballs in trying to get day to day and get marketing and get all these other things done that you need to. So we come in and we say, hey, we'll give you the great content that your clients want. And this will make you look like, an expert and a rock star in their eyes. Because you've made it really simple. Hey guys, here's the stuff that you need to know. So we take care of that for business owners so that they can just turn around and give that to their clients and know that they have got the information that they need.
And it's helpful because it is hard to run a business. There's no way around it, especially in this industry. This industry is ever changing. Doesn't matter if you're in daycare, if you're in grooming, if you're in veterinary. It doesn't matter if you're in boarding. I mean, it's one of these industries that continues to grow. The business doesn't grow with it. You really do fall behind, and it's a quick evolution. It's almost like technology, in a sense.
Yes.
Except the food part. The food part has stayed the same forever, which,
right?
Obviously I gripe about that all the time. So I'm actually trying.
Out there too.
Well, yes. Well, it's like I'm trying for once to actually have a non-nutritional episode. But of course, as always, it always comes up because it's the heart of it. But what was funny is when you were talking about giving kind of the consultation and coaching the actual pet parents, one of the things I hear all the time from any trainer I know is it's really not the dogs we're training, it's the pet parents.
Yes. The dog already knows.
The dog does know.
He knows what he needs, and he knows what's in his best interest, and nature has given him a really, keen sense of that, but again, he can't communicate back and tell you if you don't know how to look for the signs or, even just basic body language. Mm-hmm. There's so much you can tell. We're kind of used to it with person to person, but not with our dogs. And it's like you can learn a lot just watching a dog, for instance, dog bites. Mm-hmm. Most people, if you know what you're looking for, you can see one coming. Mm-hmm. The dog will give you signs, there'll be the eyes, there'll be the ears, there'll be the posture, all these sorts of things. But people, again, don't know what to look for. They didn't come home with any manual on the dog. It's like, those little puppy eyes. And now you've got something attached to it. that's going to destroy your house or whatever it is. I work with my dogs, and I have to say that I've had 4 dogs now, and never once have they chewed a couch, ate my shoes, nothing. But I knew what they needed, and that's really important. And just knowing that information, having that information, you can avoid so many problems, behavioral, even health, because a stressed-out dog is not a healthy dog.
Right. And it's funny when you mention the fact that you just have to look at the signs. I think that a lot of the reasons why people are oblivious to it is because they've lost the art of communication. The whole thing of conversations that we've all pretty much have become distant towards. When you think about it, we have social media, which we could just send an instant message that way, or by text message, or even if you want to go and go to email, it's the same thing. We've become so digital and disconnected that I think that we've started to realize that, we have lost that sight of even noticing our dog saying, hey, I want to go outside. I have to go to the bathroom, or I'm hungry. They're simple little things, but it's like, well, why didn't you send me a message? Why don't I have opposable thumbs?
Right. Why didn't you text me?
Yes.
I would have heard that.
Yes, I would have totally got that. And I think that's where it's all really coming down to, and which still surprises me that we're having such issues with the lack of knowledge where our faces are in a device all the time. And yet we have all this technology and all the resource possible, and yet we're not sourcing it. It's really shocking.
Right. And our dogs aren't quite up to speed with all the technology. Honestly, they probably wouldn't be, even if they had a choice. I don't think that's quite in their... They're like in the moment, now, hello, So, and it's important to pay attention to that. You can forestall a lot of problems just by, being in touch and in tune with your dog. Because they usually will communicate to you. You just got to be listening, I guess, and take your eyes off long enough of the digital device, whatever it might be.
It's a little hard to do. I mean, being that I live online pretty much all the time, I can understand it's difficult, but you can understand what they're saying. I mean, I will take a shower each night, and my dog will just whimper. Now, it's not that she really has to go to the bathroom, but she wants me to open up the front door so she can go and run around the front yard 3 times or something like that, just because she wants to go out there for fun. And then she'll come right back inside. Now, of course, my dogs are off-leash trained, but it was, again, like you said, you can communicate with your dogs, and they look at you. If this is even the funnier part, is that they look at you and go, hey, you understand me, human? That is great! Right? It is quite funny.
But then they want you to do that consistently, right? And sometimes we forget that.
You know what the funny part is I have better conversations with my animals and even the different dogs and cats that I see on a daily basis than I do with a lot of humans. True story.
Sure.
True story.
Yep.
It's kind of
have devices to distract them. They're actually having a conversation with you, and at that moment, you are the whole world.
Right.
And that's kind of cool.
And it's really easy to pick up on it. And that's I think the most challenging thing I've ever faced when it comes to a cat. And cats are the one species that is just, they're an alien on Earth. It's the only way of putting it.
They're definitely different.
They are different. And we did a rescue of this one cat, and this cat is just an absolute just doll. Does not like to be inside. Cannot stand it. It's almost like being in prison for this cat. But now, being in the Midwest, it's now cold. So in the morning, you'll hear the cat. The cat's now in my daughter's room because we had it in the kitty room, which was our washroom, which is adjacent to the laundry room. Well, it's too cold for him to be in there. So we moved into our daughter's room, and our daughter's like, yay, I get a cat in my room. And the cat's like, yay, I get a bed to sleep on, even though we have these great beds in the kitty room. Didn't want that. want the water heater, didn't want the actual bed. But in the morning, meow, meow, meow. I mean, and it's just a sad meow. It's like, okay, so you open up the door, you put him outside, or you open up the door and he'll run outside. And that was the challenge, because my wife's like, what are you doing? You're letting the cat go? Well, the cat's miserable. And my wife was just like, but how do you know it'll come back? I just know. And she goes, but how will you know? I just know. And the first time let's call it a she. It's a he, but most of our animals are she's. That's why. He left and was gone for probably 12 hours. And my wife's like, I cannot believe this. Yeah. She goes, I can't believe you did this. I don't know where this cat would have gone. And we have, a creek, and there's, wooded area. So, anything is out there. And I was just like, it's a cat. I'm confident this is an indoor-outdoor cat. Doesn't, I just know it. And the cat comes back, sits in front of the door, and is like, oh, hi, let him in. Now, I kid you not, that cat's not gone from the house. Now, in this type of weather, today's a little warmer, but most days we'll go outside for 5 minutes, like, nope, and meow, once back in. I will stay.
Door open, I won't be long.
Well, we were doing that. We cracked kind of the garage so it was enough for the cat to go underneath, and left the door open a little bit for the cat to go in the kitty room. But because it's so cold, it's like we're not going to do that. So by the time it's time to go and take my daughter to school and head out to work, the cat's like, I've already had my fill outside. Let's go back in. But again, it's being able to communicate with the animals, and I think that's a lost art. If we could, I think we all would be a lot better off. I mean, do you think that a dog would be saying, yes, thank you for this dry kibble. It tastes like garbage. Excuse me, human, why? Why does this taste like garbage? It's made with garbage? So you want me that much to give me this. Thank you. Yeah.
Right, and probably while they sit and give us those puppy eyes while we're eating something much better. And we wonder why. I just fed you. Yeah, well, we can't take a chance you'll never feed us again, so we ate the crap, but we really want what you got now.
Right. Well, for the most part, I mean, I know my dog eats really well. I always joke and I say, our dog, I only go to the actual meat aisle for my dog. That's anything that's the actual meat in our Walmart grocery store. It's best I got, unfortunately, being in the Midwest. We don't have a Whole Foods. We don't have great markets, so I'm kind of limited. Right. Actually, we found a pretty good farm here that we've been sourcing a lot of our proteins, so that's helped. But
that's good.
It really has been helpful. But man, I'll tell you, seeing a rabbit is just kind of sad. It's like, oh my God, you were hopping around. You were so pretty.
Right.
But,
let's not go there.
It's like, I couldn't eat this, but my dog is loving it.
Right.
And it's like you buy all this meat, and people will say, oh, you're going to have a party. What are you talking about? Well, you're not having a barbecue? No, this is my dog's food. And they look at you.
My dog's having the barbecue. It's his party.
That's what she has every night. I mean, it's funny. I always joke about the people that have to take a photo of their meals. Look at me, I'm eating this tonight. Why I care, I don't know. But then I take a picture of our dog's food, which is raw and has all this stuff in it. And I think to myself, now this is a meal to be proud of.
Right. And this is important to share.
Right. Now this is something you want to share on social media. And it's funny because being in this industry of people who are as mindful on this as I am, we're all the same way. We're like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. Or we read a new FDA report that debunks them, their own stuff, or we'll hear different things and we'll start talking about it. And we're just a bunch of nerds that are just geeking out over probably the most ridiculous things. People are always like, oh my gosh, those Star Wars people, they're such nerds. I'm like, no, they're actually cool. It's people like me. I'm not. I'm really looking at the protein count, and I want to know how much sodium is in dog food. Yeah, that's where I'm at. That's a good read for me.
Well, each to their own, right? We've all got the things that we focus on, and it can never be a bad thing to be worried about your dog. So I've learned a lot over the years, and I was like everybody else out there, I guess. The unenlightened people, it's like, well, Purina has such beautiful commercials. They can't be feeding them garbage. So I bought into it, and God bless my first two labs. They actually ate Pedigree and Beneful and lived till 17. So hopefully they won't be too mad at me when they see me again on the other side. Okay, Mom, I guess it was okay, but now that I have Great Danes, it really forced me to start learning and start, paying more attention and doing a lot more natural feeding, even fruits and vegetables and those sorts of things that right now I'm off all commercial treats. If I don't have time to make treats, I feed them the fruits and vegetables that I have in my refrigerator. And right now, my favorite, the one that they love the most, are frozen Brussels sprouts.
Yeah.
Who knew? That didn't come in any manual I read, but oh my gosh, they would just go gaga for that. It's like, and snap peas, the sugar snap peas, that's their two favorite things. It's like, oh my gosh, you think I put out like a filet mignon or something. It's like, really, is that easy? Okay. Sorry, milk phone, but we're moving on.
Boy. So
everybody's in the learning process, I think, because more and more information keeps coming out too, right?
Oh, yeah.
And before you wouldn't have challenged these huge companies. And I think that's what a lot of people buy into. It's like, well, my vet has to know the best, right? They were trained. I never went to school and stuff. But then you find out, especially like with me, it's even more of an issue because a lot of these vets aren't trained in giant dogs and what they need and what their nutritional needs are and what their specific health needs are. So we're relying on people we believe are experts but may not have their best interests at heart.
And they're always pushing the big dry kibble companies that honestly are giving them a lot of kickback.
Exactly.
I've heard the greatest line I heard was, I think it was Primal who said, do you ever see any other rep except for a Hill Science and a Purina inside a vet's office? And I was like, I don't think I actually have. It's because that's pretty much why. They're in every vet's office pushing, they're drug pushers in a sense, because we all know what the actual stuff is. And here it is, here. And that's why you won't see a lot of holistic out there. It's almost, you go into any big box store, where's the actual holistic aisle? There isn't. And that's because who wants to buy that? That's taboo. If we don't stay with these products that they're obviously multi-billion-dollar companies, they've got to be doing something right. No, they're just feeding a lot of lies. And that's the funny part.
Yeah. And like you said earlier, behind the curtain, they don't show you that.
Nope.
And who's going to go to a factory and look for yourself? You're probably not going to. So they take advantage of that, and that's one of the things behind the mission that we're doing with my blog and with my Facebook page. I try to put information out there for people. I don't tell people what to do because I do believe that that's your decision for whatever reason. But I'm going to make sure you have information. And if you want to take a look at it, and you want to learn, you want to do better, it's there for you. Because we can always do better, even with our own health. It's like we can always take a different step. And nowadays, you can't even trust your doctor completely because the same sort of thing. They've got sales reps coming in and pushing medicines. Whether it's the best for you or not is kind of beside the point. So the whole system is kind of broken in that way, but I think slowly people are learning that giants aren't necessarily the right ones.
Right.
When you get into mass production, you lose a lot. You know, it's you, and these claims, and you know, they cater to their customers. Oh, it's natural, it's holistic, it's this, it's that. Well, those are really vague terms. You know, it's like, like one of my pet peeves is dental spray for dogs. When I really sat down, I actually ended up sitting down for, like a month and doing research on it, and actually created an infographic on dog dental spray and why you don't want to use 90% of it. Because if you really sat there and looked at it, even these things that are saying natural, holistic, all natural, safe, even the ones that say vet approved, you will find that they can have as much as 25% alcohol. Well, I don't know about anybody else, but I'm not giving my dog alcohol. I don't care what form it is in. And it's like, oh, natural alcohol extract. What? What in the heck is that? It's still alcohol.
Right.
You know, yeah, it may work. You know, I mean, I guess Clorox would work too, but, you know, is it like the right option? And especially, now I'm lucky I always have large dogs, but you have to be really concerned about it, because if you have a toy dog or a very small dog, they can be poisoned quickly.
Oh, yeah.
You know, my dogs may be able to tolerate it, but a little 5 or 10 pound dog, you know, you're cleaning his teeth every day, that 25% alcohol is going to get to, you know, hurt him really fast. But people don't know, you know, and these companies, they just slap on a natural label and we're off to the races.
Right.
And people don't know. So, again, it's all this information. Just want to get it out to people, to, you know, business owners, and even the business owners, you know, they aren't always able to keep up with everything, because everything is changing so fast. Look how many recalls we have now on dog treats.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it seems like almost every day. You never used to hear about that 10 years ago. Rarely. Well, number one, they didn't tell you, right? Dogs were just dying. But we're in a world now where there's so much more information, so it's coming out more and more and more often. But like they just had one on these bones, these pork femurs, and how they're done, and how dogs are dying from eating these. Yet you still see them in all the stores.
Mm-hmm.
So people really have to educate themselves and really say, okay, what do I need to know? And once you find a store that helps you in that way, stick with them, you know, but you're still going to have to keep learning too, because they can't always be on top of every single thing, because again, they're running a business. So we try to make that easier for people.
You know, it's funny because one of the things that we don't do here is there was, in our last place that we actually were working, before we opened up our shop, we had a dental solution that we would put in, and you would simply put it in their mouth, and their tongue would actually do all the work. And people have, you know, since the transition come into our shop, they're like, oh, and can we do the teeth brush? And it's like, well, we don't actually do that here. And the only reason why we don't is we could go and buy that stuff, and it was a good product. But the problem is, what's the benefit of us doing it this time, and then they'll come back in 8 weeks and do it then? You've got all of that time in between, and let's be realistic. How many of the dogs are dry kibble opposed to holistic? I mean, it probably would go over 95% are dry kibbles, which contain lots of sugars. Well, what's going to happen? And see, that's another thing that people don't realize is the amount of sugar that's in regular dry kibble. And then they're going, but why is there such, you know, my dog has such bad teeth. Okay, eat sugar every day. Just eat that. Brush your teeth with sugar. Call me when that's done. And there's your answer to it all. Oh. But they can't do that, because I'm in a grain-free dry kibble. It's there. And, you know, it's like,
well, and that's one of the reasons that we have so much diabetes, too.
Cancer.
And most of it is yes. Well, sugar just feeds cancer. Mm-hmm. You might as well it makes it go like wildfire.
Yep.
And, you know, diabetes has just like quadrupled in this country. And I think I read a thing about over 900% over the last 5 years in the UK. I mean, it's just out of control. But why? Because people are feeding kibble and then probably table scraps, right? People just don't understand. No, if you eat it, your dog doesn't have to eat it. You know, especially if it's processed or it's not natural or it's, you know, some kind of processed thing. No, your dog really doesn't need it. And they're paying the price for our stupidity.
Yeah.
You know, it's because kibble just doesn't have, you know, it's not a balanced meal, and no wolf I know eats it. So it's like, but it's convenient. And unfortunately, our society is built on convenience, even for ourselves. I mean, you know, I'm even guilty of it. I microwave dinner, right? And it's like, well, I don't have time. That's always my excuse. And it kind of like went over to our dogs, where we just buy this big bag of nondescript brown crap. And there we go, we're done.
3 scoops and I'm good. Yeah. It is, you know, we're paying nothing for it, and it's convenient. So it's a win-win. I mean, it really is a win-win. I give them credit for coming up with the most convenient, easiest way to care for your dogs and cats at the cheapest way possible. But if life hasn't proven one thing, if it's cheap, there's probably something wrong with it. That's the big thing. And I know we're going to be running out of time here, which is, you know, sad for everybody else, but you know, you'll be back. You'll be back on, so I'm not too worried about that.
Anytime.
I wanted to mention 2 things, and I know that you connected with Troy of Fetching Foods, which, as I told you before we started, I just think that he's just amazing, and you know, like I said, even on the posting and to you, somebody who actually touches it from beginning to end, to really to purchase to making. I just think that's amazing. And I say this stuff. It's kind of funny because I only recommend people I like. I don't get any kind of money from them, and I wouldn't want that. It's like I'm not going to take money from somebody to push their business and profit from it unless I would believe in it. Then it's, you know, maybe it's different then. And the other one, and I'll send you the message to it as well, and that's the 2 crazy cat ladies, Jay and Adrian, are just, oh my gosh, they are just the greatest 2 ladies you've ever met in this world, and it's just an honor to even be able to talk to them. And so, you know.
And now you have somebody, now they're both in southern Nevada and Las Vegas. Now you have somebody who gives the best content to any dog professional out there in northern Nevada.
I do. And you know what, it's funny, because now Cold Noses News is on my top list, and that's really what matters, because it's really kind of funny. I don't understand what this whole Nevada thing is and connection. It's great. And I had this absolute perfect connection when it comes to Nevada. So I don't know if it's just Nevada saying come and move here, which I would easily do that.
I don't know. That might be a good thing, though. Yeah, I got a message from Troy, and he said, Battle Born. I'm like, I had to think about that for a while, because I'm a new transplant. I've only been in Nevada for 3 years. I'm like, I wonder what that means. Oh, yeah, that's right. We're Battle Born here. Whoops! I'm still a newbie, but this is a pretty cool state. We invite anyone to come out and visit us. We start down in southern state and do the Sin City thing, and then come up to Lake Tahoe and have a look at God's country. And you'll never be the same after it.
And you'll never leave. That's the thing. That's my thing. Probably not. I came here 20 years ago and just fell in love with this place. But then I'm a mountain freak. I love untouched natural beauty. And we have tons of it. I have deer and I have coyote and bear just like strolling through the backyard. And to me, that's incredible. I will take that any day over a city. So, but it's a great place to visit. We recommend it highly. And I'm
not getting paid by them.
I'm not getting paid by them. I like that. Neither am I. But I would still go anytime. Let's move the podcast to Vegas. We'll just go on the radio there, make it simple. All right, that's settled. I can do that in a heartbeat.
They say that it's a huge dog town down there. That's what I've heard. people love their dogs down there. So it might be a good, maybe temporary, like a winter, place for you to hang out, because it's just a wee bit warmer than where you are.
Well, I'm totally fine. Remember, I grew up in Los Angeles, so it was just a quick drive over, and I've been over there quite a few times, so it's not really that hard for me to actually say, yeah, I can move there. Well, thank you, Bobbie. Thank you for being on, and I wish we had more time. Like I said, you'll definitely come back, and we'll just keep doing this, because it's a lot of fun. And again, why we didn't hit record the first time, I don't know, because that was just...
I know, we missed a lot of great information, but in the meantime, people can go and check out my website at coldnosesnews.com. Follow our blog. We have a lot of great info, and definitely follow us on Twitter. We've got almost 12,000 followers, and we'd like to have a few more, so come on and join us.
There you go, everybody. Well, that's this week's episode. Have a fantastic week, everybody. Bye-bye.
Okay, gotta go in my bedtime. We hope you enjoyed the podcast. If you did, leave a like on iTunes or YouTube, or leave a comment.